The second step in a machine learning project is cleaning or preparing the data. And that involves tasks such as removing duplicates, null values, and so on. Now, in this particular data set, we don't have to do any kind of cleaning because we don't have any duplicates. And as you can see, all rows have values for all columns. So we don't have null values. But there is one thing we need to do. We should split this data set into two separate data sets. One with the first two columns, which we refer to as the input set, and the other with the last column, which we refer to as the output set. So when we train a model, we give it two separate data sets, the input set and the output set. The output set, which is in this case the genre column, contains the predictions. So we're telling our model that if we have a user who is 20 years old and is a male, they like hip hop. Once we train our model, then we give it a new input set. For example, we say, hey, we have a new user who is 21 years old and is a male. What is the genre of the music that this user probably likes? As you can see, in our input set, we don't have a sample for a 21-year-old male. So we're going to ask our model to predict that. That is the reason we need to split this data set into two separate sets, input and output. So back to our code. This data frame object has a method called drop. Now, if you put the cursor on the method name and press Shift and Tab, you can see this tooltip. So this is the signature of this drop method. These are the parameters that we can pass here. The parameter we're going to use in this lecture is columns, which is set to none by default. With this parameter, we can specify the columns we want to drop. So in this case, we set columns to an array with one string, genre. Now, this method doesn't actually modify the original data set. In fact, it will create a new data set, but without this column. So by convention, we use a capital X to represent that data set. So capital X equals this expression. Now, let's inspect X. So as you can see, our input set, or X, includes these two columns, age and gender. It doesn't have the output or predictions. Next, we need to create our output set. So once again, we start with our data frame, music data. Using square brackets, we can get all the values in a given column. In this case, genre. Once again, this returns a new data set. By convention, we use a lowercase y to represent that. So that is our output data set. Let's inspect that as well. So in this data set, we only have the predictions or the answers. So we have prepared our data. Next, we need to create a model using an algorithm.